Who want a ticket straight to them pearly gates?
What's so good about Combo Breaker, what's so good about these FGC tournaments, these events, is that you can meet everyone. All throughout the year, we see Arsenal and Ash videos on YouTube, him streaming on Twitch, Nee, Little Majin, like all of these great players. You just see them all over the internet all the time. But then what's amazing is at these tournaments, whether one's close to you or you travel far to one, you get to meet all of these people in person. Oh look, there's Arsenal and Ash. Oh look, there's Nee. There's Lohai. There's FDX. You could go take a picture, interact with them. You could ask the question that you always wanted to ask. It's an amazing experience. I don't think there's an experience like this at all in any other type of anything. Like, you can actually sit down at one of these events and play Arsenal and Ash in a match. I think that's like, imagine if you sat down and played Stephen Curry in like a one-on-one real quick. The FGC is unlike anything, and it really allows the players, the commentators, the devs, everyone, the YouTubers, everyone can meet on this floor and just all celebrate whatever game it is. I love the FGC for that reason, is because it's unlike any other thing that I've seen before. But sometimes there's chaos. Like we're going to discuss today, when you have the devs walking around, a lot of people are respectful. They understand, I'm not going to bombard this guy with questions. Hey, put my character in the game. What are you going to reveal? Are you going to announce something? I can imagine people bombarding the devs with all kind of stuff, which is why I respect them so much more for coming to these events, because they know how players are. Now, in this instance, we had a Kazuya main approach Michael Murray and start asking for buffs. Now, this is always something that I questioned as well, because if you remember back when the demo, so first Kazuya was really OP in the closed network test. Everyone know his heat smash did like half your health. It was absurd. The developers then looked at Kazuya and they nerfed him. And I felt like they didn't nerf him too much because I was playing against him in the beta, and also I was using him in the demo. And I'm like, he feels really good. Like, he feels decent. But the Kazuya players, they felt like the character was nerfed severely. And I just was sitting back and thinking, like, that's ridiculous. Like, if you're bragging about, like, I remember watching Main Man videos. He was talking about how Kazuya is S tier, how Kazuya is so good. Oh my God, he's the best. He was like so happy about how strong Kazuya is. When you're doing something like that, you should understand that the nerfs is coming soon. Like the Dragunov players, they understood their time in the spotlight was limited. So eventually Kazuya got nerfed. The game comes out and he's not as top tier. There's other characters who's better than him, and the Kazuya players carried that saltiness with them forever. Now, in my own opinion, I don't know what the Kazuya players are looking for. Like, they play this characters who's very challenging, very difficult. Like, he's a 50-50 vortex tornado of destruction. That's what Kazuya is. He has a lot of power packing those punches, but the Kazuya players, they want more. They want him to do this, they want him to do that, and I personally don't know if he should do all those things, because I feel like it would make him too powerful. But that's just my own opinion. Regardless of what I'm saying, the Kazuya players, they want what they want. And when one of them ran into Michael Murray on the floor, they started to bombard him with requests. So much so that Michael Murray took to Twitter to making a statement to everyone. This tweet is now deleted. We'll talk about the full fallout of this chaos. But the tweet says, pro tip, don't come up to me at any event and say, fix Kazuya.
Negativity can be like an addiction.
I'm not inclined to listen to anything from people who act like that. When Michael Murray said this, these 5 letters, it really struck a nerve with a lot of people. This, like I said, this tweet is deleted. People felt like, oh my God, Michael Murray, you can't say that. You can't use that language. Even though you're quoting something, you still can't do it. And see, here's the thing, right? I can tell when someone is being racist. You got to use context. When you're trying to teach someone or you're sharing information, sometimes these things are given a pass, but not all the time. The storm was brought down on Michael Murray. Let's dig deeper into the tweets. So in response to this tweet, he says, and if you get even more aggressive, I'll talk to the TOs about it. Basically saying we're going to boot you out of there, kick you to the curb. This is when a lot of people start responding. And I guess a lot of people was quote tweeting it. I can't see those quote tweets, so I can't see what people were saying, how they were responding. But eventually they put enough pressure on him to where he deleted it. What I was able to see is someone said, but I really want to know your response. Michael Murray says, didn't matter one. Another response here, Michael Murray says, some of y'all are trying to make this about me, but those who talk to me know I ain't like that. Someone responds and says, not gonna lie, Murray, we get the point you were trying to make, but you actually typing it out raises some valid questions, even more valid clowning. Michael Murray responds and says, even if it's not my own words and it's quotes, honestly, I lived outside of the US for 25 years, so I wasn't aware that I was crossing the line, my bad. And when I looked at this tweet, when I seen this information, this chaos going on, I understood that same thing. Like Michael Murray probably didn't know. The same way Harada, during the beta, he thought Joe Crush was playing the cracked version, and then Harada showed up into the stream and was like, hello, blank. I'm not going to say that word. But I think it's one of those same situations where a language and the rules that surround that language could only stretch so far. And this time around, it didn't reach Michael Murray. But let's keep going. He deleted that tweet and says, sorry if I offended anyone, by the way. I put it in quotes to make sure it's understood that it's not my words. But y'all know I ain't the person to say that kind of thing myself. But then here's the interesting part. He then retweets it, but this time he blurs out the word. Pro tip, don't come up to me at any event and say fix Kazuya blank. I'm not inclined to listen to anything from people who act like that. Now this was interesting. Some people seen this as like a weird double down, and then some people just seen this like it's Michael Murray trying to say like, bro, like stop coming up to me asking me about characters and this and that. Like we want to be on the floor, take pictures, shake hands and whatnot. And if you do want to say fix your character, we can laugh about it, have a little joke. Maybe we can give you some inside information. Like you could say, hey, what was the reasons for making Kazuya's down forward 2 like this, right? And maybe he could give you a legit response. I'm pretty sure they're open to having these kind of conversations with people in real life because they do it on Twitter all the time. They share information. So that's what I think Michael Murray is trying to get at, is like, don't come up to us like trying to force us to do anything with this attitude. From what he's saying, it seemed like the person was being aggressive. Someone says, why do this to Murray when he's been nothing but kind to us and even listening? Bunch of goofies. Michael Murray responds and says, I appreciate that. Someone else says, we love the quick censor, Michael. Get them, those trash talker Tekken fans. Michael Murray says, not trying to offend anyone. Another person says, crazy you got bullied into censoring it. He says, wasn't my words, but if I still offended anyone, that's not what I wanted. Another person, ayo, not the repost with the censor. Do better. Do better is what they say. Michael Murray says, not trying to offend anyone, so if even one person was offended, it was probably a good idea. Huh? Was a good idea? I think he meant wasn't a good idea, right? Now, one thing that I did see that was interesting, you have this tweet here from Michael Murray that's on April 30th. This goes back to when he was defending Lydia. People were saying Lydia's a boring character. Everyone in Evo Japan weren't excited for the character. The crowd was quiet. And Michael Murray was saying, no, the crowd isn't quiet. That's just how Japan is, right? They don't really make a bunch of noise. We talked about it. But at the time when that discussion was going on, he made this tweet after the fact. He said, I would pay for Twitter if there was an option to just block the trolls before they even get started. As is, I don't see the value in most of these interactions on here. Final sentence. You have something important to say? Catch me at an event. Now, a lot of people are saying that last sentence is why the Kazuya player walked up to Michael Murray saying, fix Kazuya. I think it's interesting how Twitter goes back and takes screenshots and ties these things together. I mean, you could make an argument to say he did say, if you catch me at an event, tell me then. And the Kazuya player did that. Now, we really don't know how aggressive the situation was, but it was definitely aggressive enough to where Michael Murray would respond on Twitter. Because think of how many tournaments he's been to. So for him to go on Twitter after meeting a Kazuya player and say, don't come up to me saying this, and then put it in quotes, it's like the Kazuya player had to be really, really obnoxious. Final tweet. Michael Murray says, anyways, I just felt it was really threatening behavior and really wanted people to stop that kind of behavior. Back to my hiatus from Twitter until I have some more game announcements. LOL. And this is the thing, right? Like I said, how many events have Michael Murray been to? For him to say this, the person has to have been doing something crazy.